She's the anti-Trump, AOCs anti-misogyny speech praised by US politicians and celebrities. Having a wife does not make a decent man. Treating people with dignity and respect makes a decent man. I love this quote because she's so right. Just because you have a wife and daughter doesn't excuse your indecency to women. Video link to the speech. https://www. c-span.org/video/c4894472/user clip Rep Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez addressing Rep Ted Yoho's abusive comments. https://www. c-span.org/video/c4894472/user clip Rep Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez addressing Rep Ted Yoho's abusive comments. I love how she destroyed him without name-calling or insults. She was civil and calm, but her comments were far more biting than any but rage-fueled elementary school insult ever could be. She seems to trigger the living shit out of conservatives, both those opposite her in the House and ordinary people online. I've rarely seen such hatred and invective. The fact that it's often not based on her specific words/actions just stinks of fear. New Zealand here. A lot of people envy us for our Prime Minister, Jacinda. Well, there's your own Jacinda. My wife and I watched this just rejoicing in the fact that Republicans have always hid behind a veneer of family values and Christianity, yet were the most degenerate of people. Her verbal takedown and acknowledgement of this was so refreshing and welcomed. I was wondering if anyone ever was going to call the party out. Finally, and loud enough for the entire world to hear. Republican voters, these people put on a show to get you to vote for them and whip out policies that directly fuck you and then blame Dems. I know you'll say the same about Dems and liberalism, but at least they aren't harassing your elected leaders like this. So maybe think about it. Mark my words, this woman is going to be president someday. She is the living example of how you should approach politics. AOC is young, is going places in a hurry. In 4 years, she will just barely be the legal age to run for president. If, God forbid, we get Trump again and we're still alive to see 2024, she could have the opportunity to be the first female president, the youngest president, and the first Hispanic president. Edit. Fixed youngest female to youngest per your many comments. They keep coming at her and she keeps feeding them their breakfast. The GOP is turning AOC into a political superstar. All Yoho had to do was keep his mouth shut and his head down, and AOC would have let this go. He'd have retired in January and gone back to his home life. A year from now no one would even remember that he was a representative. Now he's forever a piece of filth that AOC wiped from her shoe. If you are a patriotic American, you will be anti-Trump now. AOC turns 35 on October 13, 2024. A smart, honest, energetic, and empathetic young woman who takes zero shit from anyone? Sounds like the polar opposite of Trump to me. The bit where she said she threw men out of bars for doing the same type of things was fucking gold. LOL, they praise her over good media, but have desperately tried to prevent all working-class progressives from getting elected. We need to keep electing more like her or this country won't change a bit. After AOC finished her speech, Mr. Yoho asked if he could have his balls back. Release the anti-Trump. She's the president the Republicans deserve. Have y'all watched his apology? Oh yo-ho-ho, is it a treat? By far the worst public apology by a public figure ever. Like worse than Shia LaBeouf's plagiarized apology that he gave for plagiarizing a movie. https://youtube. b/r/is/ouhbrca. This man did not give a shit, and clearly this was the first time he ever read it. His alligator tears about the poverty he went through, like somehow thinking his past poverty had something to do with this. Or maybe justified it. The best part about this whole thing is how AOC flexes on Yoho by memorizing her speech. And giving a shit. Also hers was 10 minutes to his not even 2. Wouldn't it be great if we had a president who could make speeches like hers, and mean it, like she does? A person can dream. You don't have to agree with her politics, but you gotta hand it to her for calling out Yoho and all who perpetuate this culture of physical and verbal violence toward women. Someone in a YouTube comment said saying I have a daughter. To defend a remark such as Yoho's is the equivalent of saying I have a black friend to defend a racist comment. I couldn't agree more. AOC is a force of nature and we need more people like her from both sides of the park. I used to be on the fence about my feelings towards her since she's more left-leaning than I am, but after seeing the way she handled this situation with a calm, collected response, I have nothing but respect for her. I heard Ash Sarkar saying that part of white supremacy is that elite POC have to be perfect, unimpeachable, without fault or vice. Elite whites and people with authority can be the most degenerate, debased people with few if any redeeming features. The flaunting of the anti-merit system but taking pride in pretending merit really explains inequality. I absolutely love when traitors try to pick on AOC. Please continue Republicans, she'll go far, maybe all the way one day. I'd love to see her in the White House. Anti-Trump is someone logical, level-headed and science-minded, who has morals and empathy for others. Note in the footage, the lack of notes or Ks during AOC's speech. She gave one of the all-time great speeches, and also catapulted herself to the top of the list of today's brilliant orators. She's a few years younger than me, but I want to be AOC when I grow up. The people's champion. And the vast majority of the reactions I've seen from Trump supporters about this speech have been misogynistic, shocking right. When she runs for president, I'm not only going to vote for her, I'm also going to work in her campaign. I make no remark about her competency, her politics, or her actual quality as a politician or a representative, but I get the same feeling about AOC I had when I watched a young skinny Illinois senator with the funny name back in the day. To this outsider, she seems a future president in waiting. She has that sense of something special, that dynamism or energy or drive, that intangible aura that makes you think she's simply a class above everyone around her. The View from Scotland. When she becomes president, she will be given a very warm welcome on her state visits to Scotland. She is the most inspirational political figure of the 21st century. Guard her jealously, America. Look, I love AOC, but I don't think she's an atypical person. She's the type of person all of our polit icons should be. She represents the average American citizen. The fact that we look at her as special is a problem. She should be the norm. Treating people with dignity and respect makes a decent man. AOC has more time enduring quotes in these few minutes than Trump has had in his entire term as president. He has many slogans, gaffes, and defamations, but does he have any quotes that will truly live on for their inspirational or insightful meanings? AOC for president. I can't wait for her to be president one day. Weak men are afraid to admit she is exactly what we need in America and that it's time for the old guard of racists and bigots to finally die off. You can't fix stupid. They fight blindly with what they think is critical thinking when all they can do is say, yeah BB but. Some just have to find that cliff and step right off it eventually. Female, young, eminently qualified, clever, good-looking, talented, caring and compassionate. The anti-Trump indeed. AOC for VP. Why can't they just elect AOC as the POTUS? Republican TS hate AOC because she's their complete opposite, a strong woman of color who worked her way into politics rather than paying their way in. Young. Smart. Minority. Educated. Self-aware, female. Humble. I used to be lukewarm about AOC, but she's grown on me. I thought some of her plans in the one bill, the weird airplane thing for example, would define her, but I'm wrong. Go AOC.